Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Tempers flare at that Madison press conference late this afternoon.
We have the power. The city of Madison is corrupt.
It was planned by Madison leaders over the fatal shooting of a man by police on Wednesday. It was disrupted by anger. Several city leaders calling for an open investigation after the confrontation and fatal shooting of the man in his 30s. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway first taking the podium, saying an investigation is underway after Madison police shot and killed the man they say injured an officer with a knife while resisting arrest. The mayor called for full transparency.
It's really understandable that people want answers right now. I want them too. But the honest truth is that good investigations take time. We have to let the investigation play out, but believe me, anything that we can do on the city side to hasten that, we will. And beyond the formal investigation, I think there are questions that have to be answered.
Police Chief John Patterson says officers were called about someone trying to get into parked cars in a busy neighborhood not far from the Capitol. The police chief also speaking at that press conference earlier, calling it an open homicide investigation.
I'm not going to stand here today and render a verdict or an opinion about what the investigation will find, because I believe that will jeopardize what we all want, which is independence, an independent review. What I can promise you is that this department will cooperate fully with DCI, and we will not hide from any aspect of this investigation.
The police chief was then interrupted by a community member. The press conference disrupted, although it just restarted about 5 minutes ago after about a 20-minute break. Meantime, Madison police do not have body-worn cameras. We do know 4 officers were involved. All are on administrative leave. And Governor Tony Evers is calling for transparency and accountability in the investigation. Only one of the officers we understand, fired the weapon. The Wisconsin DOJ will lead that investigation. Meantime, a candlelight vigil taking place tonight at the location of the shooting. It's supposed to start at 5 o'clock, and a listening session with city leaders is being postponed now to a later date.